just to let everybody know, just bear with us after we have a few housekeeping things to take care of after we do the salute to the flag. So everybody just bear with us. Call to order statement. Welcome to the regularly scheduled public meeting of October 4th, 2021 of the Township of Washington Township Council. Adequate notice of the meeting was given in accordance with the Open Public Meetings Act by the Township Clerk to at least 2 newspapers in January, and this meeting has been posted in the Township Bulletin Board, electronic message board, WCTV, and on the Township website. Please notify the municipal clerk for any disability requirements necessary for attendance at the mayor and council meetings. The fire exits are located through the double doors to your right and through the door on your left. Please silence all cell phones. Salute to the flag. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Sue, roll call.
Councilman Casio.
Here.
Councilman DeSena.
Here.
Councilwoman Morgan. Here. Councilman Steers.
Here.
Council President Feeney.
Here. Let the record reflect also in attendance Mayor Calamari, Township Administrator Chobo, Township Attorney Power, and Township Clerk Wachowski. In light of recent events and the sudden passing of our former mayor, I am going to ask for a moment of silence. Thank you. Public service announcement. Bergen Newbridge Medical Center promotes back-to-school vax for children 12 and over. Please visit our website for further information and walk-in locations. Bergen Newbridge Medical Center has started offering the third dose boosters of the Pfizer and Moderna COVID-19 vaccines to those who are immunocompromised in accordance with the CDC guidelines. Please visit our website for further information. Paper shredding event and e-recycling event will be held on Saturday, October 9th from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. at the Bethany Community Center. Please bring papers and documents to be shredded. No plastic bags, books, binder clips, or 3-ring binders. Electronics included are VHS, DVD players, computers, printers, scanners, monitors, and televisions. General election 2021. There are 3 ways to vote in the general election. Please visit our website for all the details. For those completing a vote by mail ballot, please make sure to turn over your ballot and complete both sides. Washington Township Police Department announces Frontline, offering residents the ability to now request overnight parking, vacation watch, and pet management. Please visit our website for further information. Bergen County Satellite Office and Passport Outreach Services are coming to the township on Tuesday, October 19th from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. Please visit our website for further information. Late night voter registration. The clerk's office will be open on Tuesday, October 12th until 9 p.m. I think it's supposed to be there. Okay. 9 p.m. for voter registration. Senior and veteran photo cards will be coming to Township on Wednesday, October 13th from 1 p.m. to 2 p.m. at 350 Hudson Avenue in the courtroom. Please note Township offices will be closed on Monday, October 11th. Property tax bills were mailed on Saturday, October 2nd. Quarter 4 taxes are due Monday, November 1st, and the grace period is until Wednesday, November 10th. Any issues or concerns, please contact the tax collector. That last one was not on the sheet. It was a late addition. Okay. We're going to do one thing and then you're up, Tom. Approval of minutes, June 9th, 2021. Public meeting, conference meeting. May I have a motion?
Motion.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
We now have a presentation by Councilman Tom Sears for the, and part of the Green Team. Fill It Forward Program Recognition. Councilman Sears?
Thank you, Council President. Tonight, I would like to welcome a whole group of wonderful teachers, administrators, and children that helped supported the Green Team. In the audience, we have Dr. Mortimer, who is now the school superintendent, Shelley LaForge, who is our middle school principal, and Mary Demiziak, and she teaches environmental, and we have several of her students here. These students have been very helpful in the township's project. We are kicking off a new project tonight, calling it Fill It Forward. We actually looked about doing this in 2019. It was brought up by one of the Green Team members, Patty, who's in the audience tonight. What it actually does is, instead of buying plastic bottles and throwing them away, we found out that if you reuse a container, you save a plastic bottle. It just makes common sense to us. So we worked on it for about a year and a half through the virus. We were having Zoom meetings, and then we did some fundraisers. We did some shake the cans at the intersection to generate money. Mary was searching other opportunities. She got Public Service Gas and Electric Foundation to kick in. And between the school and the Green Team, we're going to launch tonight the Fill It Forward project for the schools. Now, I have a bottle, a simple bottle, and it has a digital sticker on it. So if you have an app, you would scan that digital sticker and it would read every time you fill that bottle. Now, you're probably going to say, well, how important is that? So we did a little show and tell. If you look at the front of right here, if one student scans four times in a school year, 720 plastic bottles will not be put into the dump. They will not be put into the ocean. So how important is that? We're starting at the middle school. Shelley and Mary were like key points in moving this forward with us. If we do the middle school and the high school throughout the 184 days of a school year, correct me if I'm right, Mary, 1,140,800 bottles will not be dumped. They will be saved. So when you think about it, you figure, well, they're not going into the dump. Well, you got to calculate how much energy it costs to make those bottles, how much landfill is going to go into that, what winds up in the oceans. Well, we all decided, the school, with the help of the kids and everything, that we're going to kick this project off. So every child in the middle school and in the high school, they will get a digital sticker on a water bottle. If they don't have a water bottle, we will supply a water bottle for them. The township invested in the program and the digital stickers. Mary's team, the group, they're going to supply the bottles. So we're starting in the middle school first, and then we're moving into the high school. Now, that doesn't mean that any other organization that doesn't want to join us, we're going to do it. But there's also other caveats to this, that every time they scan a bottle, we're only allowing them to scan the water bottle 4 times. We have to have, control over it. So every time they scan their water bottle with an app on their phone, it registers. 2 cents goes into a fund for a water project. We are going to have a water project in the Navajo Nation in the United States. So every 2 cents we scan goes into a fund to supply water to the Navajo Nation, which is amazing. We were looking for, they do a lot of world water things, but we wanted something here in the United States. So let's just think about this. 1,480,000 plastic water bottles will now be floating in the ocean. They will now be put in the dump. We will be saving electricity making them, and we'll be saving pollution. These are the kids that are going to change our future. These are the kids that helped us do our styrofoam recycling project that made us #1 in the Bergen hub out of all the towns. We recycled over 220 8x8 plastic bags, the EPS styrofoam. They also helped us clean our parks. They also are now working with our bird sanctuary up in Lincoln Park. So tonight's our kickoff, and I just want to thank the teachers, the administrator, Shelley, Mary, Patty, and these great bunch of kids, because they're going to change our future. And if you take a look on what's below me here, one child will save that many bottles. And I really thank you guys for stepping up and doing this. I can't say more about Mary and Shelley. I mean, we met with them. We did Zoom meetings with them. We didn't let the virus stop us. You know, we kept going and going. And that's important because, I mean, this is a big project. And I also received calls from other schools that are looking at this. So this is just one of a couple of big projects that I have for Mary to do, but she doesn't know it yet. But I'm sure she'll be stepping up to the plate. So personally, thank you guys very much, and all of you, because you're going to change the world. You guys are. So thank you. Council President, can you step down with me? Mayor, can you come down with me? So we have something extra for you guys. Each kid's going to, each student is also going to receive a green team badge. In the badge is going to be a green team hat, some pencils, some seeds, recyclable items. We usually give out an award every year to a business group or something that helps us recycle throughout the community. This year, we are recognizing Shelley McCoy, Mary Dominion, and the Westwood Regional Environmental Club. So you guys are the winner of the 2021 environmental. Please come up, take a picture with the mayor. But don't worry, we got something else for you.
Great job.
Yeah, it's okay. I'm just want to make sure.
Tom, go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry.
So we know what it looks like.
Mr. Mayor, would you please? Hold on, guys, don't leave yet.
I have a proclamation that I'd like to read to all of you. Proclamation of Recognition. Whereas mankind is currently facing tremendous global challenges that threaten our environment and compromise our ecosystems. Whereas all human beings and creatures of this earth have a right to a healthy environment. Whereas chemicals from plastic pollution are intoxicating our fish and wildlife and consequently entering our food chain, threatening human health, particularly our children and our youth. Whereas it is essential that we work together promoting sustainability and combating the damaging effects of plastic and styrofoam pollution. Whereas the Township of Washington and our Green Team are committed to the responsible stewardship of the planet. Whereas the Township of Washington would like to recognize the Westwood Regional Middle School Environmental Club under the direction of Mary Dominiziak and Shelley LaForgia for the decisive action they have taken to promote recycling in many forms. Now, therefore, I, Peter Calamari, Mayor of the Township of Washington, in connection with our Green Team, have the distinct honor of bestowing this proclamation upon them in appreciation for their contribution to making our town greener for all. So again, thank you all very much.
Congratulations. Congratulations.
Thank you.
We get a picture?
Thank you, everyone.
Get a picture? I don't want to keep the kids too long. They want to go right to homework.
Sure they do.
Would you like to join us, please?
Yes.
Mike, do you want to take a picture of all of them?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, go ahead. Oh. Do you want him to take a picture of all of you? Okay. She's doing another.
Thank you. On the video post.
Doing another.
Keep up the
Yeah,
good
yeah.
work, everyone.
They are outstanding.
Let's do that.
Hey kids, I know you want to get home to homework, so you don't have to. All right. Patty, did you make for the? Okay. Yeah, we'll pick that up. Thank you, Council President.
You're very welcome. Thank you. Councilman Sears, I know you worked hard on
Good
that.
job, everyone. Good job. Thank you.
Excellent.
Thank you again, thank you.
Thank you.
And thanks for this.
Yeah, this is great.
It's very cute. Does it hold coffee?
Tom, Desiree wants to
Does it
know if
hold
it holds
coffee?
coffee.
Oh, yeah, there's one of these bottles in there with a sticker.
Yeah.
So you can download the app and start scanning.
Cold, hot or cold?
Maybe iced coffee.
Iced coffee, okay.
There's something in
There's
there.
a
Instructions.
I don't know, try it.
We'll see what
I
happens.
have cold, so.
All right. Thank you.
It doesn't say hot or cold or anything else. It just says,
Water.
it just says water.
Okay. If anybody else needs one, up here I have extra ones.
Okay.
And green team members, we got the green team members.
Okay, report of the mayor. Mr. Madden.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for coming out on this rainy night. Because of the way our meeting calendar fell, our last meeting for monthly reports was only 2 weeks ago. And even with the many projects going on, there is not a lot to report on in 2 weeks. Therefore, I would like to dedicate the time usually spent on my monthly report to speak about Mayor Janet Sopkowitz. Having 2 daughters, I was impressed with Janet's drive and determination to be one of the first women to hold public office at a local level in Bergen County. She overcame many obstacles and fought hard to get where she was in her political career. I first got to know Janet on a personal level about 10 years ago when my youngest daughter went off to college. That event freed up some of my time, so I volunteered for the many public affairs events committees in town. Soon after, she asked me to start attending council meetings. She said that as a business owner, I might be interested to see how similar and how different municipal government operates from the private sector. I was honored when she asked me to run on her ticket for a council seat. She then asked my opinion about adding Tom Sears to the ticket. That also impressed me. As the only female elected official in Washington Township at that time, Janet saw the value in having people with diverse backgrounds involved in government. She said she appreciated the unique strengths and perspectives we each brought to the tasks at hand. Janet was always willing to share her thoughts and knowledge and experience, and she taught me a great deal about the operations of local government. We did not always agree, but we always respected each other and were able to discuss our differences with the best interest of the town at heart. She attended and contributed to every event and every ceremony in Washington Township, even after she left office. She worked tirelessly behind the scenes to make sure they were the best they could be. She loved to speak at those events, and it was something that came naturally to her. She knew the town, and she knew the people in it. She could recall facts and stories and experiences with and about everyone she came across. We have lost another town historian in her sudden passing. She truly cared about the town, and she cared about all of us. My last interaction with her was just last Saturday at James Stickles' Eagle Scout ceremony. It had been a pleasure collaborating with Janet and James and the others at the inception of his project. I glanced her way when I announced and acknowledged her attendance as our former mayor, and she smiled back at me about the recognition. She was always proud of the accomplishments and achievements of our residents and especially our children. Janet will be missed by many, and the mark and legacy she left on the town and its people will last for a long time to come. I received an email from someone who was with her when she passed away that I would like to share with you now. It brought me a great deal of comfort when I read it. I was at Waldwick Farmers Market grabbing lunch on my break. At the checkout, a woman came running in and alerted that a lady fell in the parking lot and was unresponsive. I proceeded to run out with her and I called 911 immediately. The dispatcher instructed to move her onto her back and prepare her for CPR, which I did as gently as possible, with the assistance from a kind young gentleman holding her head off the pavement. As the dispatcher was about to start instructions on CPR, law enforcement rushed in. We all stepped away and let them do their work. The sweet owner of the bagel shop and a few bystanders stayed. We were all, in our own way, praying for the lady. My mother was at church the following morning and learned that the lady was former Mayor Sopkowitz. Please know that Ms. Sopkowitz was surrounded by people who truly cared. She was not alone. May all who knew her be comforted that there was no pain or struggle and that there were tears and prayers from the community surrounding her. That ends the email. I was so happy to learn that Janet was not alone during her last moments on this earth, but surrounded by caring people showing her compassion and offering to do what they could for a stranger in her hour of need. It reminds me, and it should remind us all, that there is good to be found in everyone. Sometimes we just need an opportunity to show it and take action without overthinking it. Janet, may you rest in peace. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Reiner. Okay, on to the report of the council. Councilman Casio?
Yeah, I think in light of things with Mayor Sopkowitz, I just want to pass along my experience with Janet. Janet was a true humanitarian. She really was. She cared more about this town than anything, than most people. I met Janet first when I was appointed to the Board of Health several years ago. I don't even know how many years ago it was, but she was the only person in government that actually welcomed me. She gave me a call, and I really appreciated that. She knew I was a lifelong resident of the town, and she was as well. And as Mayor Calamari said, she knew everyone, knew everything about everyone. And if you needed a record of something, an accurate record, she would have it. And that's just the person she was. She attended many functions that I think most people would not attend. And she did it because it was out of the goodness of her heart. She cared. She really cared. She also, when she became mayor, she appointed me to the health board to be its chairman and director. And that, I really was honored that she did that. She also appointed me to council when there was a vacancy. And even though Jan and I had some differences of opinion on several things, she always treated me with kindness and respect. She was not afraid to pick up the phone and give you a call, and she would speak her mind. And she did let you speak your mind. Again, even though we had differences, she understood how it worked. And that I can respect in the woman. And I'm glad that Mr. Calamari read that note from the lady that was there. That gives me comfort, knowing that someone was there for her and she wasn't alone. I think she was loved, she will be missed, and she will be remembered. And I hope whatever council's up on this dais at any time, we do something to remember her somewhere in town. I think she deserves that. And again, I will miss her personally. I will miss her personally. And on that said note, I'll end my report.
Thank you. Councilman DeSena?
Thank you, Council President Feeny. Beautiful words to former Mayor Sopkowitz. I was saddened last Wednesday when I heard of the passing of Mayor Janet. My condolences to her and her family, and a big thank you for her commitment to the township for over 35 years, serving in many capacities. I met Janet 15 years ago at opening day for baseball. We're still waiting for our dome at Clark Field that she promised us. She used to like to tell her stories about building a dome at Clark Field and putting lights up, and she'd get a kick out of it. And then she had a story about a famous baseball player that she went to school with. She'd tell every year, and the kids would get a chuckle out of it. It was always fun to see her around town. Like Dr. Cassio said, she was always involved, and she wanted to be part of what was going on in town, and she was there for everybody. She appointed me to the zoning board, years ago. I was very proud when she asked me to join the zoning board, and just may she rest in eternal peace, and God bless her. And that's all I have for tonight, Mrs. Meetng.
Thank you. Councilman Sears?
Yes, thank you. She will be missed. She knew every football game that was going on in the township. She was at every baseball game. She could tell you what the odds were against Don Bosco, and she knew the sports. She put me on the planning board, and I learned a lot from Janet from the planning board because she knew that code book in and out, back and forth. And she was always there to protect the town. At the meetings for Town Day, she was a bundle of laughs, believe it or not. She had a great sense of humor. We always had some fun, and she made sure she was at every Town Day wearing the blue town shirt, Washington Township shirt. I was amazed on the amount of people that she actually knew, and they knew her. So rest in peace, my friend.
Thank you.
Vice President Morgan?
Yes. So, what a beautiful legacy to leave behind. So many people she's touched. I met Janet when I was trying to get stigma-free in this town when it was not known. And she did give me the time and had a million questions. What is stigma-free? Like, she really needed, I had to do a presentation for her. And one thing I will say is I do admire strong women, and she was a strong negotiator. My volunteerism in town is because of that moment when we met. She said to me after my presentation, I understand what stigma-free is now, and I will adopt this initiative if you sit on the Board of Health. So she definitely had, there was a strength about her that she, that did her justice in what she did. She touched a lot of people. She got things done, and she was a force to be reckoned with. I credit my volunteerism and just sitting up here today with the fact that I was so active in town, and I wouldn't have been if she didn't make me that offer and appoint me on to the Board of Health. And I don't know that we would have the stigma-free recognition that we have today if that many years ago she didn't understand, see the vision, and adopt it. So I was deeply saddened to hear of her passing. And I guess what I'm more saddened by is that, like, I think how Dr. Cassio mentioned, we had difference of opinions on things. And I don't think I ever took the opportunity to say thank you, because you just always think there's going to be another day or another time. So if there's anything to be learned, thank those who you can, and just be kind to each other, because tomorrow's never promised. But God bless her, and may she rest peacefully.
Thank you. Mayor Sopwitz's service to our small town is a testament just in general to the love of this town that she had. She was always at the events. She was always visible. She was willing to talk to everybody. And I really give her credit for that. Even after leaving office, she was still so active with the seniors, and it was great to see her around town at the events. And she really paved the way for women in this town. First councilwoman, first female mayor. So again, rest in peace. General public comment, limit to 5 minutes. Motion to open the public comment.
So moved.
May I have a second, please?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Would anybody like to come up? Mr. Mr. Ullman.
Michael Ullman, 2 Clark Avenue in the Township.
Good evening, Mr. Ullman. How are you?
Very good, thank you. Just wanted to, reiterate some of the comments that were made about the Mayor Sopkowitz. I had the pleasure of serving on the council under her, and I can tell you we disagreed on quite a few things, but I could always count on a call the next morning to tell me that there were no hard feelings, that I didn't vote for something, and that, she hoped that I could see her point of view, or I could express that she could see mine. And the thing that really amazed me about Janet was her connection with the public, and the fact that no matter where you walked, if you were walking around town, in the shopping center, if you were at a ceremony, 20 people would come up to her, and she knew that person, she knew their children, their grandchildren, and who was doing what. So, she was quite a woman, and, I think she will be missed. So it's nice that you all recognized her. On to some other things. There's a welcome sign on the door: for the safety of township staff, please wear a mask while visiting town hall. Is that like a request, an ask, please, or is that a requirement? Because I look at the dais, and I'm wondering what's going on. Are you non-carriers? Are you, we don't have to worry about infecting anyone on the dais or in the public? If we're going to do it, do it. If we're not, take the sign down. It's a lack of respect for your fellow citizens, at least in my opinion. On July 12th, at a council meeting, I asked for a copy of the budget for the emergency service building. That was the meeting where we had Mr. Conley discuss the ESB. I asked that of the administration. On August 9th, at a council meeting, I asked for a copy of the budget for the emergency service building. On August 23rd, I sent an email to the council president asking for it. And on September 2nd, I sent a follow-up email to the mayor and to the council president asking for the budget for the emergency service building. To date, I have yet to receive it. I guess my question is there a budget? And do we know how much it's really going to cost to build that building? Because to date, I haven't seen it. We know that the bonding is for the physical building. It's not the entire budget. It doesn't have certain soft costs. It doesn't have certain engineering. Boswell is not included in that. So what is the deal? Does anyone know how much this is supposed to cost? Because we've been told it's been on time and on budget many times by the mayor. So Mayor Calamari, do we have a budget for this building? The other question I have is, do we have plans for the replacement of the DPW? And what is the status of the hut or garage that's being installed for the DPW? We're transitioning into the winter. I would imagine that garage or hut or temporary structure was envisioned to be a storage and or work area for the DPW.
45 seconds left, Mr. Owen.
Thank you. For the DPW, where do we stand with that? When can we expect it to be built? And what are the plans if it doesn't arrive and the DPW is forced to work through the winter without that? Is there alternative arrangements? That's it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Ullman. Would anybody else like to come? Mrs. Osmond? Mr. Snyder, you can be next. After Mrs. Osmond, yeah.
Marian Osmond, 960 Adams Place. First of all, Sue, could you tell me when I have a minute left, please?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Ms. Feeney, you gave me information about the towns, and I've done some research about those towns. And I think that we should listen to some of those towns. Most of them have 2 comment sessions a meeting. Now, I think that's great.
Okay.
We only have it in the beginning, and Emerson has theirs at the end. Allendale has 2 times, 1 public comment on the agenda items only, and 1 on every session at the end of the meeting. Ramsey, no, they've had the same thing for 17 years, so they really didn't change anything. I mean, they've always had the exact same way, and, so that's okay. But Hawthorne, and again, I thought, why would you go outside of our area? I mean, there's 70 towns. Why would you go out to a town that's not in Bergen County? But besides the point, I found out, have 2 meetings. 2 public consent sections. Saddle River, same thing. And funniest thing, I happened to see somebody at the Board of Ed, and started talking, and I said, can I pick your brain? And the person told me yes, and so I was supposed to be calling that person. I didn't get a chance to, but I made a comment in reference to the meetings and having the comments the way, and the person said to me, he said, we got to do away with that. It just doesn't work. So, maybe something that people put in maybe doesn't work as time goes on. I'd like to know where the auditor and CFO, didn't we decide at the last meeting that the auditor and the CFO was going to be there?
He'll be here next meeting. There was a scheduling conflict, and we knew that 2 weeks ago. That's not new. Just FYI.
We didn't, at the meeting you said that.
No, at the meeting, we requested it. He did contact everybody, say a conflict tonight. He would be here at the next meeting.
Okay. I presume that what's on the list here that talks about a project tracker, that's the project tracker, all of those items?
Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Poller. I had mentioned this to Mr. Poller, and it's very nice to see that that's actually on a project. It's in front of the public. The public can see this. It's very good. I'm glad to hear that. Except there's one little problem. It says renovations to the DPW building. There is no building. Maybe that should, be changed. And I'm just, I sit at every meeting, and the project tracker, I didn't realize had so many things. And we don't really see everything on the, we don't even hear everything every meeting. So it's good to at least see it. I do appreciate it. What has happened with the signs in the shopping center? There was something in the paper about a meeting with Westwood Recreation. Did that happen? I have to talk about the small plaques. When you come into town, it says Township of Washington, these little tiny, we couldn't afford, with all the money we have left in this town, we couldn't afford plaques that were more impressive. It's an embarrassment when I'm driving into town and I see these tiny little, the big one down by Seasons is lovely, beautiful, not a problem, the coloring, but it's kind of embarrassing to look at these tiny, on 4x4s. It'd be different at least if it was on a pole. It's on 4x4s. I'm sorry, I'm not impressed with that at all. Now, I think even though it's not a minute, I'm going to talk about Janet Sopkowitz. I read about her passing, and I got very upset when I was called about it. Now, I also found it very strange that Ms. Feeney and Mayor Calmary referred to Janet as the first woman councilman and the first woman mayor in the township. I feel that she was much more than that. She cared for this town more than most people. It's very funny, but I use almost the exact words in my writing as I see that Dr. Cassio did. I worked with her my entire time here in township, 24 years as a council person, and then I worked with her as 4 years as mayor. Most people didn't vote for her because she was a female. It wasn't because she was a female, but because she was dedicated to this town. I did not always agree with her, and she didn't agree with me, but she always knew what I felt. And for the last 6 or 8 months, she has called me at least once a week to discuss what has been happening in this town. She last called me on Tuesday at 6:19, which was, it was very emotional for me the evening before she passed. She wanted to discuss about 450 Pascack Road, and she said she would call the next day because she had planned on coming to this meeting. She truly loved this town and most of the people in it. She felt pressured, and she didn't run for mayor because she was not going to be backed by the county committee, and therefore there'd been no money. And therefore, Janet, as our standard joke was, I would say to her, "Janet, you're frugal." And she'd look at me and she'd laugh and she'd go, "No, Mary Ann, I'm cheap." So, I mean, this is exactly what she said. And she would agree. She goes, "Oh, no, I'm
Time's
cheap."
up, Mrs. Osmond.
Okay,
I'm sorry.
thank you.
Mr. Snyder, please.
David Snide, in the mask, 91 Winter Circle. I do hope the mask, there's reason to Mr. Ullman's statement on the mask. I think we should either make a statement or we don't. Because no one knows where we are in life. As some of you have the mask, some of you don't. I think that should be decided on the door. Mayor Sopkowitz, I used to attend most of the meetings of you people who are here. I never ran for public office. I never want to. I wanted to just be a concerned resident of the town. The one thing that was beautiful about the mayor, she gave me her cell phone number, which was the worst mistake she ever did. Because every time the council would be barking at one side, barking at the other, and the screaming that would go on, I would always, after the meeting, tell the mayor, I'd call her, I said, make like it's a corporation, not like you're in an adversarial position here. Just give them a break so we don't go back to say at the end of the meetings, nothing was accomplished except yelling. And she'd always say, "Yes, David, I understand what you're saying." So my condolences are to her, and I would always give her a call. And she was a wonderful person, but she did have her means of not always being as joyful as to what we wanted done. I want to compliment what happened on the weekend. I thought the event was fantastic. Thanks the mayor and council and the green team, everyone. It was a good day for the town. It was probably the best day of the year to have it. And I made a phone call to a couple people here and just said I thought it was fantastic. And I think what Tom is doing on the green team is fantastic, especially for my bike riding, because I'm usually biking every day. And I'm hoping it gets further along on that, and I can continue coming to meetings to be the town crier, or whatever you want to do it, because we have some people that are obviously not here. I think the project tracker is a great idea. The other thing I think is a great idea is the comment sessions. There'll be one day that will have more than 3 or 4 people here besides the honorees of the green team. And I just think you should really seriously consider having 2 parts to the meeting. Not when you're talking about a bill and then saying any public comment, but have a chance, give us a chance to be part of it. When you're in virtual, you never get a chance to really express what you want. And the kids are happy that they're back in school now. Everyone is. So please give a thought to that, and let's try and give a little more time for the public comment so it doesn't get lost. And you can shut it off, but give more than 3 minutes or 5. What is 3 minutes? Is that what?
5 minutes.
5 minutes. 10 minutes then, the way it was just talked about. Thank you. I appreciate it. Green team, keep it up. I want a bike coming along Pascack Road. I know it may never happen,
Would anybody else like to come up? Mr. Conti?
Just quickly, I, believe it or not, spoke to Janet the week before and,
Mr. Conti, can you please?
490
Address,
Bridgewood
please?
Boulevard North. I spoke to her the week before. She also told me she was going to be at this meeting to discuss 450 Pascack Road, and she asked me to be here. So I'm here tonight, but I guess that's not going to happen. What I am going to say, though, is a couple of things. Number one, last meeting, Mr. Lemkin, I believe it was, complained about all the fees that he was receiving to do some work on his house. And Dr. Cassio mentioned me in the meeting and said that I had the same thing about 6 months ago. Actually, it was about 2 years ago. Yeah. And I did discuss it with the mayor. We went back and forth a couple of times. And he told me the reason for my fees were in line with what other residents were charged for similar work, for similar things. Then I hear the president of the council here say, well, this is how the town does it. Other towns have their meetings. They listen to you and then they answer you. But why aren't you looking at other towns about how they handle work being done on your home? I mean, for me to spend $700 for a walkway along my driveway, which I knew was completely in zoning, and I didn't need all that to be done. I had to pay Azalino. I had to pay him, and then wait until Mr. Lemkin finds out, or Lemkin, I don't know if I'm saying it right, I apologize. Wait until he finds out that that same engineer has to come out, look at the job and say, oh yeah, he cleaned up. So now you could have whatever balance of your money is due. And they charge you another $150 just to get your money back. I mean, we have a zoning official in town that can go and look and see that I cleaned up and I got rid of the debris and the work was done properly. Why am I paying Azalino another $150 to say, oh, it's done? Now, back then, the mayor told me he was going to put some people together on the council and look at it. And of course, nothing happened. I also sent a mayor a letter back when they were looking to buy the swim club back in June. I sent it to everyone on the council. And I asked if he would make sure if the town did buy the property that at least the bondholders would get the money back. Never got a response back from that email. That was back in June, by the way. The other thing I'm going to point out is this is a council meeting. This isn't a mayor meeting. Okay, so you guys on the council are all here. This is your meeting, and the mayor is invited here as a courtesy, so to speak. Why haven't you people brought the engineers in about the firehouse? These people have been coming in. Ms. Morgan, you say, I hear you. I hear you. We hear you. We're all taxpayers. I hear you. Hear them. Bring the engineers in like they're asking for. Don't just throw words out. I understand that you hear us. I hear you too. I hear everybody on the council. But this is your meeting. You're in charge, not the mayor, nobody else, not the attorney. They're asking for you to bring an engineer in to talk, to discuss, to find out. Last week, Mr. DeSena, last meeting, Mr. DeSena pointed out that there was no tieback on the plywood on the firehouse, that giant firehouse that we have. There's still no tieback on it. Nothing was done. It was like, oh, Mr. DeSena said it, so let's not do it. Let's not do it because, you know, that'll make him look like he's smart. Well, he is smart. He's right. He's telling you that there should be tieback on the plywood. You put up a house 24 hours after you put the plywood up, you should have it tieback. You should have a roof on, you should have windows. The house should be dry. Otherwise, everything inside of it gets destroyed. That's simple construction, simple construction.
1 minute left, Mr. Conti.
We're building a $6 million fire home. You have people coming in here, meeting after meeting after meeting after meeting, asking for answers. Now, I'm not privy to emails and stuff that you may have sent people. Maybe you answered all these questions already. But if you did, I don't see why they're still sitting here. Are they getting their answers? Are they getting help? Are you doing anything for the people who are distressed by this? It reminds me of the swim club when you wanted to buy the swim club. I was privy to information that you were going to put the DPW down at the swim club. That's why I fought it. I fought it and I fought it and I fought it, and I'll keep fighting it. Because you were going to put the full-blown DPW, and I read your email as well, that said, it's a great idea. I'm with you. Oh, yeah,
I would
absolutely.
love for you to send me that email.
So the people on the council know what was going on. I fought it because I knew what was going on.
Time's up, Mr. Conti.
Thank you.
Would anybody else like to come up?
I wasn't gonna say, Lindsay Stono, 631 Washington Ave. I just had a question about
Excuse
two,
me, could you just state your name and address,
Oh,
please?
Linda
I'm
Stono.
sorry.
Sorry, it was
I
just, it was
distracted.
love, sorry. I'm
Lindsay
sorry.
Stono, 631 Washington Ave.
Thank you.
I guess I just want to ask about the proposition that Councilman Casio made a few meetings ago about the code book resolution, having the town abide by the rules that the citizens have to abide by, and if anything's going to come of that. And that's about it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Stono. Anybody else? Motion to close public comment?
So move.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Mr. Tovo, Mr. Mayor, would you like to respond to anything?
Yeah. Yes, thank you for the opportunity. Let's see, mask wearing in town hall, like most other retail businesses, any other public place you go to, it is a suggestion. It is not a mandate. So I think we're, doing what most other businesses and probably other even town halls are doing, but I must confess, I haven't checked. About the budget of the firehouse, I believe an OPA request was asked for and was fulfilled about the budget. So that's what's available on the budget, was what was supplied. Regarding the DPW replacement, we are working with the architect still to determine DPW needs. We want to make sure we get this right. So, we're going through all the right processes to make sure we do a, space needs and like that. The temporary building, like many other things, is being held up because of supply chain difficulties. Mr. Tovo, Administrator Tovo, I apologize, is now looking into some, I'll let you speak to that, Bob, if that's okay.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, okay. Let's see. That's all opinion things. Mr. Snide, same thing about your mask question. Yes, thank you for the compliments on Town Day. A lot of work goes into it by a lot of people, but we're thrilled that it went off so great this year. I think the people really needed to get a day out. The weather was perfect. Everything just lined up perfectly for the day. So thank you for recognizing it. It is nice to hear from the residents that we do appreciate that. Mr. Conti, I don't recall in detail, I recall us having conversations and things. I don't recall them in detail. Seems like it's been a couple years at least, so I apologize. I don't recall them in detail. However, I will push back. It was never my intention to put the DPW at the swim club. If you can find anything where I said that, I'd appreciate you bringing it forward. I did speak about storing equipment there. That is the most, because that is all I ever planned on, was storing equipment there, perhaps. Sorry, my note taking, I was trying to write somewhat quickly. Again, if you and I spoke about the bonds getting paid back, we would have had no authority to do that. We were buying a piece of property, and that would have been up to the swim club then to pay the bonds back.
Just an email back in June that never was replied
Okay, I apologize if it didn't, we were getting so many emails at that time. I do apologize if I overlooked, one or two. But, I could never guarantee the bonds will get paid back because that would be up to you and the swim club to work that out. We were just purchasing the piece of property. And I believe that's everything that would fall under my umbrella. Thank you.
Mr. Tovo?
Yeah, one thing to add regarding the temporary DPW facility, the mayor is correct. We are having supply chain issues with material. We are looking at some alternative materials. And timing is going to be the biggest issue for us. Remediation will begin next Monday. We would prefer to wait till that remediation is complete to put the temporary building up. So we have that very short window to narrow down on the material that would be appropriate for the project and move forward with it.
Could you let the council know what comes of that on Monday? Where we say, like, what's,
Whether they started the soil remediation?
yeah,
Certainly.
thank you. Mr. Fowler?
Nothing.
Okay, so I'm going to go first this evening for the council. Mr. Ullman, regarding the budget, you and I had a phone call. We spoke about it. I also have not received any additional information, so I'm going to request again for the full budget from the CFO for the firehouse. 3 times I've now asked for it. I spoke to Mr. Ullman. We're in agreement on that. If you don't mind, please. Regarding the engineers being at the meeting, I requested the engineers to be at the meeting. The very answer from the administration was that Mr. Tovo was going to be the conduit to any questions regarding the firehouse, and please direct all inquiries to him. I do not employ the engineer or the architect. I can make the request, which I did publicly. I did ask. I can't force the gentleman to come to the meetings. Unfortunately, it's not in my purview. It's not an excuse, it's just the facts, it's what happens. Mr. Tovo is the conduit for any inquiries. If you don't seek a response, please let me know and I will try to assist in any way possible.
So he runs the council now?
So regarding the small plaques, Mrs. Osmond, I do agree that we could possibly increase the size. I do think they're quite small as you're going through our town across Pascack and Washington. They are a little small. Maybe, Mr. Mayor, we could look at the budget for next year for that. Just, they're beautiful, but they could be bigger.
Okay.
Okay. Mrs. Pistono, the conversation with Mr. Councilman Cassio about changing the laws, that's on the conference agenda tonight.
Oh, it is?
It is, yes.
Did you get to do that?
It's on the conference agenda. It's in the next section, sorry.
Oh, okay.
I was unable to attend Town Day. Unfortunately, I had a family obligation, and I heard it was phenomenal. I saw the pictures. I talked to friends in town. They said it was one of the best Town Days they'd ever been to, even in the area. The amount of activities for the kids and the pony rides were great. The food was great, and it was a gorgeous, gorgeous day. My daughter saw the pictures and talked to her friend. She was a little mad at me that she had to miss it, but we did have a family obligation. So unfortunately for that. For the fees for the building department, I have spoken several times to Mr. Tovo, and Councilwoman Morgan and myself are going to be meeting with him shortly to review the ordinances and what the fees are so that we can make adjustments according to more reasonable adjustments depending upon what you're doing, not that it just falls into driveway, sidewalk, roof. It should be more specific, and we should have fees that are, better to the cost. If it's a $500 fix, it should be a $1,000 fee for the town, in my opinion, for the resident.
Just real quick, and I know I shouldn't.
I'm sorry, Mr. Conti.
But this is not building.
Mr. Conti, Mr. Conti, I'm sorry. But all of it.
There wasn't even a permit needed.
So we're looking at all the ordinances related to fees for any type of in the town. And Mr. Tovo, correct, we've met on this? You and I, we've had this discussion that we're gonna have this plan, we're gonna review the.
Well, my understanding is that when time allows, we'll meet with you and Councilwoman Morgan on it.
Yes, so that plan has been put into place. And I've also been, hearing from a lot of residents and working with them to get their projects through with the fees. So it is an issue that we do need to address in town. Vice President Morgan?
Yes. Thank you. So, look, everything was covered. Mr. Ullman, your question was answered. So basically, I think Mr. Conti, to speak to your concerns about my empathy. I hear you, I understand. That was never to be taken out of context. I really hope you understand that I did not make the decision, any part of the decision for the firehouse. And I understand that it upsets the people who come to the meeting, like Ms. Pistono. So when I say I hear you, I'm understanding you're upset. I get it. I do get that. I wish, though, that you may ask Councilman DeSena or Councilman Casio the same question that you asked me about bringing the engineer here, because if I have the power, so do they. So I'm just going to say that. Council President Feeney did speak with regard to the engineer, that Administrator Tovo is conduit, and that was made clear at a former meeting. But just to reiterate, I do understand the frustration. So please, don't take it out of context. That's all.
Councilman Casio?
Yeah, I think everything was covered, but I'll go to Ms. Pistono's point with reviewing our ordinances for municipal land use. We are definitely going to look at that in detail. We are going to control other towns in the state to see what they do, how they have theirs more in line with a residential permit and zoning. And I am adamant that that's going to happen, because we're not going to let what happened to the people over on Pascack Road by the firehouse happen again in this town. It's just not right. I know we can't do everything the way we do a residence, but for most municipal projects, I think we can, be more in line. A government should be more limited as opposed to omnipresent. And unfortunately, the township, unlike many other towns, I'm not saying we're not the Township of Washington, we become this all-encompassing entity, which we should not be. We should limit what we do for the benefit of the residents of the township, not become an ever present presence in the pockets of the taxpayer. And that's what we've become, unfortunately. So again, we're gonna look into that, we'll research it. We've done a little bit, and I know Mr. Pollard will help us out with that. And that's what I have. I think everything else is pretty much covered at this point.
Thank you. Councilman DeSena?
Thank you, Council President Feeney. Mr. Ullman, waiting for the same numbers you are on the budget for the firehouse. One of the things I want to make clear is that it's been stated that, Dr. Casio and I were the only ones on this dais that made the decision for the size and the grandeur of the new firehouse. The council only voted to fund the firehouse with the renditions presented by Mr. Connolly. And we did not approve the final design like was stated at many news articles and Facebook postings. All we did was approve the budget and the bonding amount to construct the firehouse. We did not have any decision-making in the size, layout, or anything like that. I did because I was on the committee at one point in time, but the council did not have a say in that. So it's been brought up a bunch of times. On the DPW replacement, Mr. Ullman, the Quonset hut, I've been asking since April for the permits that we paid a contractor to build the foundations for the temporary Quonset hut, as we're calling it. I still have not received it. We did pay a contract, I believe $6,800 to construct the concrete foundation for that building, which I've been told by the building department did not meet code. And that's why the Quonset hut is not up. It was poured way back in April, and it's been sitting in the environment since then. It's the first time hearing that we have a supply chain issue. Mr. Snide, I agree wholeheartedly. We had a beautiful town day. It was one of the best ever. Thank you to all the volunteers and anybody that was involved in making it happen. It was a beautiful day. It was a well-deserved day after a year and a half of COVID. I think everybody had a great time. Mr. Conti, we are the council. You are absolutely correct. This is a council meeting. It does seem for the last 2 years that it is a mayor and council meeting, but it is not. It is a council meeting. And we cannot invite the professionals to the meeting. They can only be brought here by the administration. So like Mrs. Morgan asked me to state that, and I agree with her wholeheartedly. It is not in our purview to make the professionals come here. Only we can make the request to the administration to come here. If they choose not to let them come here, they do not. I've asked for the CFO to be here at every meeting, just like our former CFO. And I've still never met him in person other than on the phone one time. So we cannot force the professionals here. All we could do is make the request. Mrs. Pistono, I'm hoping that the rest of the council agrees with Dr. Cassio and I that we will make it a requirement that for all future town projects, a certified list will go out to the 200-foot list. I have concerns about the DPW plans coming to fruition, and I just want to make sure that wherever it may be, the 200-foot list is well aware that it's coming, and they get a certified letter, not just a letter, a certified letter. So that's all I have, Mrs. Feeney.
Councilman Sears.
Thank you, Council President. First of all, I'd like to thank all the people that came up and spoke the kind words about Janet. She will be missed. We had an outstanding town day. Close to 3,000 people showed up that day. It was amazing. It was a lot of work to put in and a lot of work to get done. And Daisy did a great job. All the volunteers did an outstanding job. Mr. Snide, we are working on the bicycle routes, easy ride bicycle rides with the state. We have, I think, one more audit to complete, and then we will send it down to the state. Rick on the green team is chairing this committee, and then the state will come up, and then we will sit down with them, and they will give us their opinions. So just stand by. We are working on it. And so thank you very much. I can't speak on the firehouse budget. I was not around. We were, as the budget's going forward, I will have more say about it. But right now, I have not seen it, so I cannot speak on it. So thank you very much.
Ms. Mead, can I add one thing that I forgot? Real quick. Okay. If you want to really thank someone for Town Day, it was former Mayor Janet Sopkowitz that initiated it and brought it back. So I just want to recognize her. Without her, we wouldn't have a Town Day. So I just want to let you know that.
Council President, may I make one remark also?
Absolutely.
I disagree with some of the things that have been said by members of the council. However, the biggest one I'm going to push back on again and again and again is the firehouse. The architect came during that time, presented the plans, everything to the firehouse, for the firehouse, to many council meetings. The council did have plenty of input on it, and the plans were set. And if you didn't like them, then you should have voted no on the project. But that's a sequence that it took place. They were here for multiple meetings. They showed the plans. There was back and forth in the beginning between the council and the departments to try and refine things and keep the costs down. But after that is when the vote was taken. And so inherently, whoever was on the council at that time had input to the plans. If you didn't like them, you should have voted no.
Okay, we're going to be moving on. That's enough.
Mrs.
Okay.
Feeney?
I shouldn't have let the two go that I did. It was my mistake.
But you did.
I understand that, Councilman DeSena. Thank you very much. I
Okay.
just said that okay. Ordinances, adoption, second reading. Adoption, second reading. Ordinance number 21-15. An ordinance under Chapter 87 of the Code of the Township of Washington setting forth the rate of compensation and manner of the payment of employees for the year 2021. Resolution number 21-319, authorizing second reading and opening a public hearing for ordinance 21-15. I'll make a motion. May I have a second, please?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Would anybody like to come up regarding the ordinance 21-319? Motion to close public hearing for ordinance, resolution number 21319, ordinance 21-15. I'll make a motion. May I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion to adopt ordinance number 21-15 its second reading by title. I'll make a motion. May I have a second, please?
I'll second.
Uh, Okay, we'll have discussion. Councilman Cassian?
You know, I discussed it last night.
Councilman DeSena?
No discussion to it. Thank you.
Councilman Sears?
No discussion.
Vice President Morgan?
No discussion.
I was not present. The only thing I'll say is that the council during the budget sequence voted for 95% of the salaries on the budget. I was disappointed that it was not adopted. I feel penalizing our employees for this period of time is unacceptable as a council. We need to act responsibly in the best interest of our employees. So, roll call, thanks.
Councilman Cassio.
No?
Councilman DeSena.
No.
Councilwoman Morgan.
Yes.
Councilman Sears.
Yes.
Council President Feeney.
Yes. The following items have been determined to have unanimous consent of council and will be enacted in one motion. Should any item require independent consideration, any council member may have such item removed from the consent agenda. Would anybody like to have any items removed from the consent agenda? I would actually like to have 21-320 removed. Anybody else?
21-321, please, Mrs. Feeney.
Sure, so we're just gonna go with, anybody else?
Same 1, 2, 3, 1.
Just the
3, 2, 1.
3, 2, 1.
That's my address, sorry.
It's okay, so you want the second
I have
one?
miscalculated, I apologize.
You want the second?
321, yes, the second one.
Okay. All right, resolution number 21-322, authorization of the acceptance of the State of New Jersey Department of Law and Public Safety, Office of the Attorney General, fiscal year, I know there's an S there for some reason.
State fiscal year.
State fiscal year. Body worn camera grant program, state fiscal year 2021. Motion to approve resolution number 21-322.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Resolution number 21-320, authorized payment of bills September 16, 2021 to September 29, 2021. I'll make a motion. May I have a second?
Second.
Discussion? Who wants to go first? Anybody else want to go?
Well, you asked for it to be pulled, so you want to start?
No, it's okay. You can start. I have to find my page. I'm sorry.
I'm fine with it.
You're fine with it?
I have no questions to ask of the, I'm not fine with it, but I have no questions.
Sorry, I only had one question. I just wanted to know with the program with Councilman Sears, maybe we could give the employees some bottles and start counting. Also, that was my only, because I see we have Nestle waters on here. We have water coolers in the building. I thought that might be a good way to help Tom contribute to the program.
I think most of them already bring their own, but we're happy
Or
to
give-
supply it
Or
for
can
those
we
who
just
don't.
give stickers to them?
Yeah,
Yeah, stickers, more
Have
appropriate.
extra stickers.
Okay, that was my only, I saw the Nestle waters and I thought, why not give them stickers and they can get help with the 2%?
Sure.
Okay. That was my only item. I know it wasn't exciting, so.
They're on here too, the fill it forward stickers.
They are the.
Yeah.
Okay. To, roll call?
Councilman Cassio.
Yes.
Councilman DeSena.
No.
Councilwoman Morgan.
Yes.
Councilman Sears.
Yes.
Council President Feeney.
Yes. Okay, resolution number 21-322, authorization of acceptance of the State of New Jersey Department of Law and Public Safety. Sorry, I'm on the wrong one. Resolution number 21-321, authorize the advertisement for bids for solid waste curbside collection. I'll make a motion. May I have a second?
Second.
Discussion?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
You want to start?
No.
You pulled it, so.
Yeah, you go ahead. I didn't pull this one. I pulled.
Mr. Tova, where is this being funded from?
It will be funded in the 2022 budget if we find the numbers are appealing.
We are going out to bid for an informal quote, is what you're saying.
We are going out for a complete and total bid that will be funded in a new calendar year, a new budget year.
How are we doing that, Mr. Collins?
Well, we're going out for bid. I think the bids are supposed to come back, mid-November? November 26th or something?
No, they're really back in December.
Okay, so then you have 60 days after you,
We won't even have the council will not even have the budget for 2022 in 60 days. So how are we going out to bid?
well, I mean, how, you could do it if you want to do it. I'm not saying, I don't make the decision whether to go out or not. Can you do it? Yes, you can do it. And you can also reject the bids if it doesn't, there's several, bases to do that if it doesn't come in with what you believe it should cost. If you don't have the funding for it, there are, and it's in the bid specs to be able to reject the bids based on the statutory criteria.
Mike, can I ask a question? Is that okay?
Yeah, I'm just asking.
No,
questions.
yeah, but
I have more questions to ask, but you can ask a question.
Okay, I wanted to just, is the thought process for this to go out for bid to know for budgetary reasons for next year and to see if it's reasonable to the residents compared to what they're currently paying? Like, what's the overall thought process?
Correct, all the above.
Okay, so it's to plan for next year, to see if the money comes back and it doesn't overextend the residents in their taxes compared to what they're currently paying for garbage, right? And to make sure it's feasible and you get a company that you're happy with the services that they're going to provide.
That is correct.
Can you send the council what the estimated budget is for this, Mr. Tova? Has our CFO looked at the surrounding towns and seen what we're spending on garbage for other, what other surrounding towns of similar size are spending?
We have looked at other surrounding towns. Well, what's difficult to break down is many towns include their recyclables in the same contract with their solid waste. Because we operate under two different contracts. We're estimating based on our size and the experience of our neighbors, at least $800,000.
Would it be a plan for the future then to combine the recycling and the garbage into one contract, or can we not do that? I don't know.
There's really not much savings to be gained by that because there's no money in recyclables right now.
Okay.
Mr. Toe, I'm sorry, did you say that just the solid waste was approximate $800K?
Based on the experience in other towns that have recently gone to bid.
Mike, I'm done. You're,
I was just doing some math, excuse me.
no, it's okay.
So we're gonna raise everybody's taxes by $250, Mr. Tova, approximately.
This is an exercise that the administration and council both urged me to do to see if it was feasible.
But we were waiting for numbers and
In
backup.
the end, well, I can't get numbers unless we go out to bid. Anybody that gives me an estimate would not be allowed to bid on this. Why would they want to put themselves in that spot?
I just don't know how we can go out to bid, Ken, with no budgeted fiscal amount anywhere in our budget and not having it in the 60 days that this has to be awarded. So we're wasting people's time.
Wait, why is it, isn't it 60 days after the bids are received?
Yeah,
what's
so that
the-
puts it in
just wait,
February.
what's the date that the bids are going to be
In
received?
December, is it?
December.
So 60 days from then, you're talking next year.
It's February, we won't even have the budget by then.
I understand that, but is there any other provision in the contract or the bid process or that there's a plan for, or I don't know?
I just said that there are bases, depending upon what the cost is and what the planning is, that you are allowed to reject bids. This is not the first time that things have gone out to bid and you reject bids. I don't know. I've heard so many times everybody say they want to see how much this garbage thing is
Right.
worth.
How else are you gonna find out without a bid?
And
Mr. Pollak, can you do me a favor, just lean in or pull your microphone down or?
yeah, so I think that the
Something?
way Mr. Tovo has it set up in terms of the timing is it gets it into next year's budget. And if it turns out it's not economically feasible, you can reject the bids, you might change your specs and, substantially change your,
And then resubmit for bid.
yeah, resubmit it. There are things that you can do.
Right.
I mean, obviously, the best way of doing things is if you have the budget, you have money, you can have bonding, you have all that kind of stuff. I'm just saying, that's all good, but I think that what you're doing is exploring, what this is going to cost.
But if he calls a company to get a quote, They're not allowed to bid on the job, correct?
That's not true.
That is true. I asked for a quote from a company, they cannot bid on that job. Particularly in solid waste. Look it up, can't bid on it.
But I guess where the disconnect and what I'm trying to ask Mr. Pollard is, we're going out to bid in December. 60 days later, these bids are invalid.
60 days later, you have to.
Either, you gotta act.
Or he said we can resubmit the specs and go back for bid.
No, you gotta reject them and rebid.
Reject.
So what we're doing now is we're asking somebody to spend a lot of time on this package, putting it together, knowing that come February, there is no way you could award this contract. And that's what I'm saying.
But it's not finite at that point.
Yes, it is.
No, it's not, because you can resubmit the specs. You have to reject, but listen, we can agree to disagree.
We're talking differently, because what I'm saying is, we're putting something out that we know we cannot award. We cannot award this in February.
Mr. Chova, is that the thought process?
Well, I don't know that you should have a discussion about that's the thought process that you're doing that.
No, I mean, what is thought
I
process?
thought he expressed this.
He did, that's why I wanted him to reiterate what the thought process was again. I don't think it's that. The administration has said it is what it is.
No, but it's not what it is. Somebody's gonna spend their time for their company employees to get a bid bond, get all these bonds in place, pay for all them, right? And put this package together, which costs money, right? You've bid on jobs before, I'm sure, at work. These bids cost money to put together. We have to purchase bid bonds, we have to provide surety bonds, all these bonds, that costs money. There is no way that come February 28th, I hope it's not a leap year, because somebody will get me on the internet. Come February 28th, this bid will be null and void, because we will pass the 60-day period that this is valid for without being able to award it. So we're going job shopping to find out what the number is that we can't hold anyway, because in 60 days, February, whoever's sitting up here won't even have the budget yet. So you can't award this in February.
Now, we can award it in February or reject all bids in February with a contractual start date later in the year when the line is funded.
So I think what you're recommending is just don't go out for bid and wait till the next year's budget.
Correct.
Okay.
And that's what we've been talking about for 2 years.
So that's what he's saying. I mean, that's
But
what
we've
he's
been
saying.
asking for years and he's there.
But we've just got the numbers tonight. This is the first time we've seen this document tonight. It just got here miraculously on October.
There's nothing miraculous about it. It takes a while to put a big package like that together.
I'm not saying it doesn't take a while, but we're waiting till, we're trying to put something out to bid that cannot be awarded. We cannot award something if the finances aren't there, Mr.
And the
Colo.
council, you're right, we would not award until the funds were there.
But the bid is only valid for 60 days. Mr. Pollard just stated that. This bid, come at whatever date you're taking it in, December, what date is in here? I'm sorry, I don't know it off the top of my head.
Every year when we do a budget.
What's that?
Every time we do a budget, there's no guarantee that a line, even though we have a contract with a vendor, that number is going to be approved.
Correct.
So we can award a contract with a later contract starting date when the line is funded.
No, you cannot.
Yes, we can.
We can bring the CFO in here and ask him to testify to that. We cannot issue a contract with somebody that is non-funded.
We can make an award. We can't enter a contract till the money is there. And that's how it works. If we think our budget will be done August 1st, contract would commence on August 1st.
Mr. Pollard, is that correct?
Well, first of all, you have, I think it's 60 days to get a contract after you award the bid. You don't have the contract the night of the bid. The contract, there's a period of time to have.
No, I'm not saying you get the contract the night of the bid. 10 days after the night of the bid, you have a contract. That's what the legal statute reads in New Jersey. So in 10 days, you have to start negotiating a contract with them.
Yeah, but
or her.
that's 60 days to get it.
60 days to hold the price.
To get the contract done.
Correct. So there is no way without a budget in place that you could award that contract in February.
Okay, so I'm not here to argue with you personally.
I'm not arguing with you personally. I'm asking for your legal opinion.
I gave you my legal opinion about the ability to reject bids and based on the funding or lack of funding or the scope of the work, or if there's a statute that deals with reject.
Yeah, I'm listening.
You might have a quarrel with the approach, but I'd like to get off the legal, whether you can do things legally. So you could go out to bid And because we've done this before, by the way, many times before you got here, people have gone out, it turns out that you did stuff and turns out way more than what you think it could be, and you rejected it.
Absolutely.
And we've done that several times.
But you had a funding source.
I'm just saying, and it, by the way, happened many times at different times of the year. Sometimes it got out at the beginning of the year in January. The budget's not done till March, April, May.
Hey, June, July.
We still are winning contracts like crazy. So, it does happen. I mean, you do business all throughout the whole year. So there is a methodology for getting out of awarding the bid and getting locked into something. Now, whether you think it's a better idea to do it next year, that's fine. I mean,
No, I'm not saying it's a better idea. I'm saying is in February, can we do what Mr. Tovo was saying? That we award the low bidder the contract
Okay.
with the fiscal amount attached to it and award it to them. That's what I'm asking. I agree with you wholeheartedly. If we put this out to bid and come February 28th, the 60 days are up, the council that's sitting up here rejects all their bids, right? We have, every contract that goes out always has the caveat that you reserve the right to reject all bids. What I am saying is come February 28th, right? You prepare a contract for this garbage solicitation with no funding source.
Well, the funding source would be the budget, obviously, right?
But in February 28th, that
I know
budget
that,
doesn't exist.
but we do award contracts with the budget not being adopted. We do that.
Because we have a line. We have a
We
line.
have,
But you don't have a line right now for this item.
But for the
I don't-
2022, they will.
Right, we would have.
It's
one
gonna be
that
on the
would
2022 page, not the 2021 page.
I'd like to, I'd like to explore that because I think that's
you may not agree, and as far as, I mean, with all due respect to the poor contractors that are spending their money to do the bids and, whatever, I mean, these waste haulers do pretty good, and putting together a bid package is not the biggest, ask in the world to try to possibly get a contract or get involved in a contract process. I'm just saying, I was just throwing it out, I'm not arguing, I'm just saying, you're saying, oh my God, it's a terrible thing to make them do all that work.
Well, it's a lot of work to put this together, Mr. Pollard. There's costs associated with putting this together. And if there's no mechanism to award it, then what are we doing to these people? Whether they're making money because they're waste haulers or not is not the valid
But
point.
on the other hand, there are taxpayers who feel that they should be thought about and their garbage costs be put into the taxes. So what are you saying? I'd rather deal and be careful with the contractors and thinking about taxpayers. They want to look at that.
I'm not disagreeing. I don't want to see 5 garbage trucks on our streets every day. I'm not disagreeing with it. I'm just disagreeing with the mentality of this not having a funding source.
I understand.
So we can put this, I want the garbage trucks off our streets more than anybody does. My neighbors, I have all 5 of them at my house. I have the T-neck little pickup truck with the built up boards. I have Bulldo. I have waste management. I have everybody coming to my, immediate. So I want them off the streets too. But I'm just saying, I want this done, but I want it done correctly. That's all. Because I'm still saying that this is going to go out to bid. We're going to lose the pricing after 60 days because it's all they have to hold it for legally. And then we have to either give them a contract or reject all bids. And we don't have a funding source to give them that contract.
Well, I'll leave open the funding source. I mean, they're saying that there would be a line item in the 2022 budget, but that's not my thing. I don't get involved with that.
Stacy, may I make a comment?
Absolutely, Mr. Mayor.
Being a business person, when I go out to bid on something or when I'm bidding on something, I look at the likelihood of me getting that bid. I'm sure all these waste haulers who would bid on it are very used to dealing with municipalities. They know all the ins and outs, probably better than we all do. And so they can make a business decision. I want to bid on this. I don't want to bid on it. Why are we assuming, putting workload on them? They can decide when they look at things. Oh, all right, I want to bid, I don't. It's that simple. I don't understand why we're worried about their workload. No one worries about my workload when I decide to bid on something.
But what you're not understanding, Peter, is that when these contractors are bidding on it, the towns have already budgeted for garbage in their budgets.
In every single case?
No, what other town has
A startup like us?
What other town picks up their own, doesn't pick up their garbage other than us? There's not many. There's not. So what I'm saying is when
there are some. When you say there are not many, there are some.
But I said there's not many. I didn't say there's none.
And so we should.
So what I'm saying is,
prevent it from going out to bid and taking the ability away from these companies to bid on it.
no, what I'm saying is when they're bidding in other towns, it's a follow-up because their 3-year renewal is up. And they know that there's already a funding source in the budget. So like all our surrounding towns, there's a garbage line item of $800,000 or $1 million in their budget every year. We don't have that funding source right now.
Are you fighting for the taxpayer or the waste
I
hauler?
am fighting for the taxpayer. I want it as cheap as possible, Peter.
And so that's what they will bid on. If they want to bid, they'll know that.
But there's no funding source for this.
And they'll know that. If they do their homework, they'll look.
We have asked them to do this.
Correct.
Right? All the residents.
And we waited until a month before the election
But
to do
it's
it.
done, regardless of.
Here we go with politics.
It
Everything's
is.
politics.
It is, Peter.
All right, thank you for
Just
bringing
like
that
you
up yet
said,
again in a
just
meeting.
like you said,
did it at the
is
beginning
it
of the
about
year,
the,
and
is
you
it about
did
the
it again.
taxpayer or is it about the garbage collector? Of course it's about the
Then
taxpayer.
why are you worried about the garbage haul?
I'm not worried about the garbage.
You just
hauler.
said it,
I'm
Mike.
worried about
You just
the
said it, Mike.
fiscal ability to pay this.
You
when it
said you're
comes in.
concerned about the amount of work they have to put in. Did you not?
Absolutely.
Then
You
who
can
are
make
you
your
worried
Facebook
about?
post about it all you want.
Who are you worried about?
I'm worried about the taxpayers.
Then
and you
I
know
am
that.
too.
I just said I
I'm
want
not
5
worried.
garbage haulers off my streets as much as anybody else
And
does.
this is an attempt to do that.
Then vote yes and show that.
Can we move on? Please.
Anybody else like to make a comment?
Yes. You know, we talk about doing these things for the taxpayer, and I understand that. And we want to make it the best value for town residents. I don't care who picks up my garbage, to be quite honest with you. If I get a better value with a private company, I'm going to take the private company. It's not going to help you with writing anything off on your taxes, number one.
Correct.
So that's the biggest fallacy in the world. It's going to help me. I can write it off. What are you going to write off? $200 on a $500,000 house? So it doesn't save you any money as a taxpayer, number one. Okay? But what you do want is the best value. Now, I have a private contractor. I got rid of Waldo Sanitation, and they were very good over the years, but I got a better price. And I'm going to go with the best price. Now, if we have to go with this type of system, I'm all for it. But, you know, we don't get the budget until late on a regular basis. So we can very well, if we don't award things until, we don't get a budget finished until June, May, we can definitely go out after we get the budget in, put a number in there, and then go out and get these, okay? Because if we know we put a big budget line in for Peter, he puts in, you know, $1 million, whatever it may be. And then we get these things back at 600,000. I'm being thankful, hopefully 600,000. We can always bring down our budget. We can always say, you know, we only need 600,000. We just get rid of the 400,000 we don't need. And you just brought the mayor's budget down. Everyone looks good. We brought the budget down, right? Everyone's happy. And then you still don't have a problem with the timing. So you can definitely do it afterwards. So you can fund it, then go out and get the bids, and then start it anytime you want, whether it's May, June, July, after the budget is passed. Because nothing's going to happen until after the budget is passed. It's that simple. So really, this is a waste of everyone's time, whether it's the council or the provider. It doesn't matter. So if we put a funding in there, mechanism, and then we get the bids, and then we say, okay, well, it's only 600,000. We can bring it down to what it's actually going to cost instead of doing it now. And it's a guesstimate, and you got to throw it out. You're doing double work. Why would you want to do double work? No one wants to do double work. That's the way we can do it. It's easy, but you don't have to do this right now.
So I think we should, this should be done now, because if we do it now, we get the estimate, right? They know what they're getting, they know what the town's gonna be getting. Then it goes to budget and they have the estimate. We won't have to wait for 60 days for it to go to bid in the contract negotiation. We can move the timeline up further, and I support the mayor.
You can't do it until you pass the
And I
budget.
support, excuse me, Councilman Cassidy.
You can't do it until you pass the budget anyway.
You spoke uninterrupted, correct?
Always.
So I do support that. I think the initiative, and I believe last year we did try to go out and do this during the budget season. However, due to COVID, it was decided during the budgetary process that we were not going to do it then because of COVID. And I believe, Councilman, we talked about that. This was not done because of the timing. This was done during the budget. We talked about adding the line in. The mayor and the administration brought the number to us during the budget process, and we didn't do it because of COVID.
Correct, that is correct.
Okay, so just to lay out the fact sheet, go back and watch the budget meetings. That was definitely discussed then, and it was paused due to COVID. So I just want to be clear about that.
Mm.
The second thing is that asking the administration to do something and having them do it is what we asked them to do. So they're doing it. That's, everybody complains. You asked them to do it, they didn't do it. Well, now they've done it. So I think I would like to motion for a vote on resolution number 21-321, authorize the advertisement.
Stacey, may I ask one more question before you?
Sure.
Thank you. Obviously, there's no perfect way to do this, because if, Steve, if I'm understanding you correctly, please correct me if I'm wrong, you want to put the money in the budget and then go out. So in effect, we might be taxing the taxpayers in a budget year, 400,000, let's say, for half a year that we may not use.
Well,
I just want to make sure I'm understanding.
Well, you wouldn't tax them
If
because,
it's in the budget, though, wouldn't we have to?
no, because you didn't pass the budget yet.
You're saying that you
The
can't do it until
The
you pass
budget's
it.
not passed. You can pass it. You can't tax them until you pass the budget. You're going off remember you're 2 quarters ahead?
Right.
So you're still on last year's budget up until June, right?
But that's the
Okay, so-
temporary budget that we always have a problem with. That everybody says, I can't believe we're on a temporary budget. I can't believe we're on a temporary budget.
Every town is on a temporary budget.
I will absolutely remember
Right.
that next year.
Yes, please,
Pretty much
please,
everyone does.
please
but that's-
remember
remember those words when,
Thank you for clarifying.
It does happen. It does happen.
okay.
Okay?
Okay.
Put it in the file.
Yeah, I'm
Okay?
gonna quote you.
I'm going to motion for a vote for this resolution number 21-321. Oh, Mr. Sears, you were the only one who didn't have a say.
Listening to such great discussion here, I mean, everybody has great ideas. Everybody's looking to have the taxpayer pay nothing. Is this going to cost us anything to go out to bid?
To go out to bid.
Negative.
No.
Oh, I'm sorry, advertising cost.
So I feel that the way I hear, we asked the administration to do this. We asked the administration to reach out and find the best solution. Listening to Dr. Cassio and Mike over here, you know, they all have good concerns, but if this isn't costing us a dime, and all contractors do this all the time. It's not nothing new. So, and I listened to what you said, Council President. I kind of agree with you that we should move forward. I think the citizens want this. They're looking for it. And Mike's got great ideas, Dr. Cassio and yourself. But if the citizens are looking for us, and we did ask the administration to do this,
For 3 years.
you know.
For how long?
3 years.
Actually,
That's not true. We were gonna do it last year, and we all decided it was not the right year to do it. Only this year did it come up to prepare this just for solid waste collection, and you wanted to see it by the end of the year. That's what we did.
get a motion for a vote, resolution number 21-321, authorize the advertisement for bids for solid waste curbside collection. So we already motioned, so roll call.
Councilman Cassio.
No.
Councilman DeSena.
No.
Councilwoman Morgan.
Yes.
Councilman Sears.
Yes.
Council President Feeny.
Yes. Do we need a 5-minute break?
Motion to
Oh, sorry. Okay.
We'll do a motion to conference.
School night.
Motion,
Conference agenda?
yeah, adjournment to conference agenda. I'll make a motion. May I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Oh, the next regular meeting of the Township Council will be on Monday, October 18th, beginning at 7:30 PM. Sign up for e-alerts and Swift 911 notifications at www.swiftofwashington.us. Okay, I wanted to thank Sue and myself, and Mr. Klein,
Good night, Mr. Klein.
Take care.
Good night.
Right, David.
along with Mr. Powell and Mr. Trevor, we discussed adding these to the format, so thank you, Sue, for adding these on. Okay, Mr. Tovo, you're up first.
Do you like me to read down the list, or do we have questions to review, or?
Do you want to go, why don't you go, and then if we have some questions, we'll just,
Very well. 2021 road program, I'm on the capital project sheet. Work has begun this week. Marquette started last week. Some continued today, so we expect paving to start about midweek.
Mr. Chova, I had sent you an email about Beach Street and that the engineer was gonna go out. Do you know if that's on the list or it's not?
I don't recall receiving an email regarding beach.
Okay, I'll send it to you again. It was a resident who had called me that's a little further down the
Oh, I'm
road.
sorry, the one from the resident, that was referred to the engineer to look at.
Okay, thank you.
2020 road program, that's complete. Intersection, Township has met all of our requirements with the county. We're waiting confirmation on a start date. Ladder truck chassis has been complete. Garbage trucks both ordered. Expected delivery of number 1 in October of 21. Breathalyzer no change.
Mr. Feeney, are we going to ask questions
Yeah.
at the end or has?
No, Mr. Chova, is it okay if we stop you?
Whatever you like.
Mr. Toba, the intersection, do we have a bid date from the county yet?
Projected only.
What is that?
Late fall of this year.
No firm date?
No,
And the ball is in the county's court.
correct.
Go ahead, Mr. Chova. I think you were on
Left off
the,
a radio system upgrade analysis. The radios have been received by our local vendor and are currently being programmed. In-car video has been ordered. Kitchen renovations, vendor has been selected. Engineers working on drawings. Body worn cameras ordered. ESB exhaust system, waiting on some more information from the vendor for the ambulance side. Then that PO will be issued. Gear washer has been received and in use. Scott Packs Fire Department is expecting delivery next week. There's an update on the leaf pack that will be delivered this week. Forklifts have already been received and in use. Renovation to DMF bill or DPW. Soil removal will begin a week from today on 10/11. Emergency service building, windows, site work, exterior work in progress. Library renovation.
Mr. Toba, do we have a completion date on the emergency services building?
We have a tentative range of completion for December of this year.
Late December, early December?
Right now it's targeted for mid-December.
So December 15th, the building will be complete with site work or no?
As I said, that's a tentative date.
I'm
Well-
sure weather's gonna be a factor too, right?
It always is. Police evidence room, establishing timeline with vendor.
Library renovations, Mr. Togo, I'm
Oh,
sorry.
I'm sorry, our architect review, still there. Outlets on utility poles is complete. Library HVAC, awaiting on quotes. Stormwater GIF mapping of stormwater is currently underway. And lightning detection is operational and in use
It went off tonight, thank you.
many times. Town access control project is complete and in operation. Building controls, this equipment, while we've awarded a contract, still waiting on equipment from Honeywell. Lower level renovation, construction department is complete, and flooring in the conference room complete as well. Paving of county roads, SSA between the township and the county has been executed. Awaiting a start date to review the ADA curb cuts with the county. Solid waste bid package, we beat them with the death already. That concludes my report.
Thank you, Mr. Jovo. Mr. Tovo, you're up first with the bid package for solid waste collection services. Oh, mine.
Yeah, no, it's on there, but it's a
Okay, fine.
conversation.
I just want to make sure I'm not crazy.
Yeah,
I'm
no,
reading
no,
the
no,
line.
you're
and
fine.
it's telling me I'm wrong, so.
Mr. Mayor,
You really want to do it again?
No, I don't, but it's on the agenda, and look, somebody up here will be like, Stacy, it's on the agenda, and you're not reading the line, and we're not talking about it.
Mr. Toba, can I ask Mr. Toba one more?
Yeah, of course. it's
Mr.
on the
Toba, can
agenda.
we ask Mrs. Dargis when we will make the agenda for the county?
We ask the question on a weekly basis.
What's that?
We ask that question on a weekly basis.
Okay, 'cause I looked at the agenda for this month and we are not on there. So I'm just curious when that would be.
As I said, we are on them weekly and sometimes daily.
Okay.
Zoning procedures, town projects.
Yeah, I'm researching that right now. I don't have any backup information for you at the present time, but there's 3 towns in South Jersey that I'm looking at that pretty much follow their, I guess, their residents.
Bless you.
Their residents ordinances, so I will get those to you. I just haven't had time to get it.
Okay. Anybody else? Okay.
Well, Mr. Pollock, can you begin to prepare something?
I'm not preparing anything until I find out what the scope and how you're gonna do this.
Well, how do we make it that the
I will
town?
get,
Let Dr.
I will
Cassio
get-
find these couple of towns that have it, because there are not many towns that have ordinances that require.
But there are some, you say?
well, there are some.
He's saying there's a couple. I looked in this area. I didn't see any.
I didn't see any in this area.
No,
That's why they're in South Jersey.
Because it's not something that municipalities would do, because the approach is a lot different. The approach really is what you mentioned the other time, which is they go voluntarily.
Correct, that's what we always did, yeah.
And they get advisory, and they say it's just advisory, no
Correct.
additional input. And the town certainly can, on a project, decide to send out notices, and it doesn't even have to be just 200 feet, it could be.
Be the whole town wide, yeah.
Could be the whole town. You could take surveys, you could do all sorts of things.
Correct.
I will say that I caution very much an ordinance that strictly requires a town to adhere 100% to the municipal land use law requirements that
No, I don't.
developers have, because if you do that, you definitely hamstring
The whole,
the municipality. And for example, I'll just throw out a couple of examples, just by thought process. We're required to build a couple of affordable units, okay? I can just imagine if we're required to meet requirements of how high it could be and how many bedrooms it could be and all that kind of stuff.
Mhm.
It makes,
No, it
it
hamstrings
makes
you.
no sense. I'll give you another example. Another example is when we put up the cell tower. Obviously, nobody wanted the cell tower where their house is because they have to see it. But we were required to do it. It was a beneficial public use. We did the best we could and we put it up here. So if you're going to hamstring the town with requirements that are exactly the same as a developer, I think you're really doing a disservice to the ability of the town to actually operate.
I can't speak for that myself. All I want to see is that either the town presents voluntarily to the planning and zoning board, just like I talked about, just as cursory review, and puts out a public notice and invites the people within 200 feet. That's all I'd like to see. I agree wholeheartedly with you that we cannot hamstring ourselves with agreeing. I don't know what Dr. Cassio would like, but I just want a voluntary presentation from the engineer or architect of record to both boards in public. And
Well, you wouldn't necessarily need both boards. At least you would have one.
one or the other, depending on what the magnitude of the, I'm sorry, to one of the planning or the zoning boards to present the project for a voluntary review.
Right.
They could ask questions, they could seek changes, but nothing would be guaranteed. And just the neighbors within 200 feet be serviced that letter that says, we're having a voluntary session with the board, you're invited to come. This way the firehouse can't happen again. So,
And
it doesn't mean they're gonna come anyway, but at least there's a mechanism there that
I
says.
wouldn't necessarily be putting this exactly in an ordinance. I might put it in a procedure that you would do in terms of any kind of project. And I'll tell you something else. There may be a project that you really don't want to go to a board and push it. There's no necessity. Every single thing that could maybe.
Absolutely, like if you're doing a pump, when we did pump stations and stuff, we wouldn't go to the board. But when we were doing library renovations, we were doing town hall, a new firehouse, a new police station, we went to the board as a voluntary, and we presented the plans, we listened to comments, the public made comments, and then we went back, and then the mayor and council decided, nope, yes, or whatever it may be.
Okay,
That's all I'm looking for, so I don't know what I can.
In that regard, we're talking about these, and there are very few. I mean, we're talking, less than 10. It's not like they revised the whole thing where everything that a resident has, that the municipality has to do, it limits some things, and it's more of a review type thing, as Mike's speaking of, okay? But it doesn't hamstring or limit the town from doing a necessary item. And you'll never find a town that has one that mirrors a zoning or planning phase like a resident would. It just doesn't exist because it would be detrimental to the town.
Correct.
But they do have a tweak here and a tweak here. And it's not to make it better or worse than any other municipality. It's just to kind of tweak it a little bit to get some input from the surrounding area. That's all it is. So we're not rewriting the whole thing. We're changing it slightly, just slightly.
But I think it's more like what Mr. Pollard
Yeah,
said.
it's more along that
procedural
lines, yes, it is.
than regulatory.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, Gardner Field striping, follow-up.
That's you.
So we built our 2 beautiful basketball courts. I'd like to ask the administration if we could look at creating a youth program for our 18 and over. Norwood runs a great basketball program for their 18 and over college kids.
Is that stripe? We're
we built these two.
we're on
Striping's over. They striped it. It's fine.
Okay, so then we're done with the
So,
agenda.
yeah, let's,
Okay, so,
Peter, can we look into that?
It's funny you mention it, Mike, because a couple people came up to me at Town Day asking about the same thing. So yes, it's,
My son played in Norwood. It's phenomenal.
that's what I heard also, so.
They play every night of the week. I know the lights aren't working on our basketball courts, the floodlights.
Mhm.
So maybe PSE&G could look at wiring those, because I believe they're PSE&G floodlights that are there.
Okay.
yeah, we're done.
Yeah.
So maybe we could look at that.
Okay.
Can I
There's
just
no-
comment on that since it's on the agenda about the Gardner Field striping?
Yeah, it's just, yeah.
Absolutely
Yeah,
beautiful.
gorgeous, yeah.
We had cheer practice down there because of Town Day.
Mhm.
I had the littles come down and we practiced on Gardner, and a lot of the parents are brand new. They have, they're brand new to town, so they have very young children. They didn't know where Gardner was. They said they were so impressed, and I'm so glad they saw it now
Great.
Yeah.
and not, a year ago or 2 years ago. Absolutely so impressed with how beautiful our basketball courts are. And it's good because they're new to the town. This is their first impression, so nice job.
Yes, thank you
I
very
like
much.
the blue.
Great to hear.
I like the white. It's
Yeah,
beautiful.
looks good. Okay, motion to adjourn,
So moved.
second,
I'll second.
all in favor?
Aye.